The late afternoon rain poured down on the glass roof of the penthouse where the crew held their internal meeting. Sam leaned against the large window, the yellow light reflecting off his still tense eyes. He had been avoiding Katrina for days since the argument over a sensitive scene that they both disagreed on how to perform. The door behind him opened slightly. Katrina walked in, her demeanor calm but her eyes unable to hide her fatigue. She knew Sam would be here. She also knew that if neither of them spoke first, the distance between them would become even heavier. "I thought you were home," she said softly, not moving too close. Sam didn't turn around, just pursed his lips. "I don't want to leave when things are still like this." Silence. The sound of the rain seemed to deliberately prolong the tension. Katrina walked slowly closer, stopping beside him but keeping a reasonable distance. "I know I was a little harsh that day. But you were also too cold." Her voice was softer than usual, no longer sharp. Sam took a deep breath. "I'm not mad at the scene. I'm mad that you didn't ask me how I felt before you made the decision. You know what the press is going through with us." Katrina looked down at her hand, squeezing it gently. "I was just afraid that if we waited any longer, we'd lose the feeling of the character. But I didn't think about your feelings off camera." For the first time in days, Sam turned to look at her. The coldness melted away, replaced by a look of hurt that hadn't yet subsided. "Between the character and us. I don't want that line to be left untouched." She looked up, her deep gaze making his heart beat faster. "Let me fix it." Unexpectedly, she gently reached out to touch Sam's hand, hesitant but sincere. He didn't flinch. Instead, he squeezed her hand, as if afraid that if he let go, everything would disappear. "I miss you," Sam said softly, almost in a whisper. Katrina smiled softly, her eyes glistening with tears. "Me too. It's just that pride makes everything stupider." He chuckled softly, then pulled her closer. The familiar scent, the warmth against her skin, the invisible distance slowly fading away. She lifted her face just as he leaned down. The first kiss after days apart was not rushed, not sudden, but an acknowledgement that they had never stopped thinking about each other. Outside, the rain was still falling, but in the room, everything gradually warmed up. "We have a filming schedule tomorrow," she said softly as they stood close together. Sam squinted, pretending to be thoughtful. "Then tonight we have to make up to meet the quota." Katrina laughed softly, hitting him lovingly on the chest. But instead of pulling away, she let him hold her completely, as a sign of acceptance. Not loud, not exaggerated, just two people tired of pretending not to care. And so, the evening that was supposed to be filled with only the sound of rain became the beginning of a new chapter, where old anger was erased with a handshake, a look, and a kiss that needed no explanation. The evening passed so slowly, as if time was afraid to break the fragile bond they had just formed. Sam didn't want to leave the room, but Katrina gently reminded him that if anyone in the group caught him, everything would fall apart again in a way they couldn't control. He reluctantly let go of her hand, but his eyes couldn't hide the desire to hold on. "Then I'll stay," he said half-jokingly, his voice low and low, making her heart flutter slightly. Katrina responded with a raised eyebrow. "You think after a kiss I'll stop being so cautious?" As she said that, her fingers still lightly brushed his wrist. "Not yet," Sam whispered, "but I hope you choose to trust me again." She didn't answer right away. She just walked to the sofa near the glass door, sat down, and gestured for him to sit next to her. The steamy glass reflected their silhouettes, both near and far. Sam sat down, but didn't touch her, as if afraid that rushing would make her close herself. "Are you still angry?" Katrina asked, looking out at the night city below. "Not like before. I'm just tired of pretending not to be hurt." "I'm tired too," she smiled softly, "of pretending not to notice when you're avoiding me." Sam moved closer, just a little. "Then stop pretending." Katrina turned, her eyes still showing traces of those uncertain days. "If there's another sensitive scene tomorrow, if the audience gossips again, If the press gets involved again, will you choose to stand by me? Sam looked at her for a long time. Yes, but you have to tell me before you decide anything. I don't want to be the last one to know what's dragging my own feelings down. She nodded slightly. I'm sorry for forgetting the line between acting and real. Sam stopped keeping his distance. He slid his hand behind her neck, pulling gently until their foreheads touched. Not forgetting, it's just that we're both so used to processing our feelings instead of talking about them. Katrina didn't pull away for some reason. Their breaths mingled, light and warm. Outside, thunder flashed and died like a comma in the hazy sky. Let me ask you this, she said softly, if I had come back to you first that night, would you have told me? Sam smiled faintly. Maybe not. You were so childish back then. And now? He responded by pressing his lips to her forehead, so gently that all her defenses collapsed. Katrina closed her eyes, as if accepting something she had tried to ignore. She opened them, looking down at his hand on her thigh. Aren't you afraid this will make things more complicated? Sam frowned slightly. Being angry is more complicated. At least, I know where I stand here. She looked up, her eyes softening but brighter than before. Let me say this, just this once. I don't want to break up again. If there's a misunderstanding, you have to pull me back, don't be silent. He squeezed her hand gently, then kissed the corner of her lips, not deeply, just lightly as a promise. I will, but don't turn everything into a battle every time we disagree. Katrina laughed, her first real smile in days. I'll try, but I can't promise to be gentle like the girls in the movies. I don't need you to be gentle, Sam said, I just need you to stay. In that moment, no one tried to act out a role. No Sam of the character, no Katrina of the camera. Just two people who had been hurt by silence, and now were filling the void with very gentle touches. A moment later, Katrina's phone vibrated. A text from her manager reminding her of a joint script reading tomorrow morning. She sighed. Sam saw this and asked, Do you want me to take you back to your room? She hesitated. Aren't you afraid of being seen? I'm just afraid, he hesitated, that you'll use your mind to avoid me again. She didn't answer, just stood up. But instead of going to the door, Katrina walked to the kitchen counter, poured 2 glasses of water, then came back, sitting down next to him as if she had never stood up. I'll stay here a little longer, she said, but only for a little while. Sam smiled, not arguing. He leaned back on the sofa, his eyes on her. She sipped her water, then unconsciously leaned on his shoulder while looking out into the night. No one said anything, but it felt like there was no need to. Every unfinished apology they'd said was replaced by staying. And sometimes, that's the best way to make up. No noise, no swearing. Just choosing to sit next to each other, when they could have turned their backs. The silence between them was no longer tense, but like a thin blanket wrapped around two people trying to slow down after a storm. Katrina leaned deeper into Sam's shoulder, not realizing she had let go. He tilted his head, kissing her hair lightly without saying anything. She didn't react, nor did she avoid it, just sighed softly, as if for the first time allowing herself to be weak. I'll be back in a bit, she whispered, but Sam didn't reply. He just held her hand, his eyes so quiet that she couldn't bear to stand up anymore.